putting on a great show.
On every type of track.
Driving these cars, banging off of each other.
No, he gets sideways. He's off the racetrack. There he goes, trying to make the pass. If you're a driver trying to get in, you get little opportunities like that. Watch how hard these guys are going to drive.
Checkered flag in the air.
Checkered flag there, champion.
Welcome to Jefferson, Georgia, as we're getting ready for the Slack Auto Parts 150. It's the 6th race of the 2012 season, and it's Gresham Motorsports Park, where they will do battle this evening. I'm Rick Allen alongside Phil Parsons. Derek Perniciglio covers everything on pit road for us tonight. Take a look at our weather. 68 degrees. Forecast is for clear skies. Perfect night for fast speeds on the racetrack. Take a look at the point standings through 5 races. Chase Elliott has a 16-point lead over Corey LaJoie. Kyle Larson, Brett Moffitt, Brandon Godovic also in the top 5. Now let's head back to pit road, and Derek Perniciglio, he is with our pole sitter.
Thanks, Rick. Cale Conley starts on the pole tonight, his first ever pole in the NASCAR K&N Pro Series, and it's got to be a real surprise, but what's your strategy for tonight?
Well, the strategy is stay out front, of course, manage tires. You got to have good restarts, pick the top and bottom, got to make good decisions there, so just very, very glad to be here. This is awesome. Nervous, legs are shaking, but let's go get us a win. That's what I'm thinking.
Your crew chief said to save the car to the end, but how do you run fast enough to keep ahead of everyone else but not burn the tires off?
Well, I've never really been in the lead in one of these things before, but I'd say you just set the pace. And if somebody wants to race you hard, you either let them go or you just got to make those decisions and be there at the end. You got to be there at the end to win, and we'll just try to be smooth. But you know, whatever happens, it's been a good night. It's fun.
Well, Cale Conley's having a good time so far. He wants to keep this car out front all night, especially at race's end.
Rick, as Cale was talking, these are some of the things that he will need to do to be in victory lane. Don't over-adjust your car from the afternoon sun for tonight. It'll tighten up. You want to be in great position on the restarts. You want to be on the outside. That is the preferred line. And as he talked about, tire conservation is going to be very key. 150 laps on this racetrack is a long ways.
Half-a-mile racetrack, and it's going to be endurance. Who can last at 150 laps? Let's hear from our points leader. He's in our bio blast tonight, the 16-year-old Chase Elliott.
Hi, I'm Chase Elliott, driver of the number 9 AariansHendrickCars.com Chevrolet. Started racing go-karts on dirt and kind of progressed to the Bandolero and Legend, you know, that kind of deal, and then moved to the late model stuff. I had a handful of super late model wins. I haven't really run for many championships. Won the Gulf Coast Championship 2010 and the Snowball Derby 2011. We won a few races here and there, but you know, got to focus on the night. I'm Chase Elliott, and that's your K&N Bio Blast.
He mentioned a few races here and there. Well, how about 4 races here that he's won before?
Yeah, in various forms of racing. But remember, he won that huge combination race at Iowa just a few weeks ago.
Chase Elliott has the momentum going after the big win that came in Iowa just a couple weeks ago. Let's find out if he can continue that momentum here at Gresham Motorsports Park. When we come back, the drivers are strapped in. We'll line them up and throw the green flag. Drivers strapped in, rolling around Gresham Motorsports Park as we're getting ready for the 6th race of the 2012 season. Before we throw the green flag, let's head back to pit road and hear from Derek Perniciglio.
In this race last year, there were some teams that fell out due to running out of fuel, which put a lot of stress on the minds of these teams going into the race this year. So NASCAR came along and implemented a gear rule, and they also let the teams top off with fuel right after qualifying. So if there's one thing that a lot of these teams like, it's one less thing to stress about.
And no race car driver likes stress. As we take a look at our starting grid, Cale Conley, Dylan Kwasniewski making up row number 1.
Yeah, Dylan, West Series point leader. 2 wins already in the West, is going to make his way back east for a handful of races. Great qualifying effort.
Not a good qualifying effort for Chase Elliott. Back in 12th is where he'll start this race as our points leader.
Yeah, I really expected Chase maybe to be a little bit better, but we'll see as the race wears on. Maybe he's got the right race setup.
A few guys making their first starts ever in this series, including Akinori Ogata out of Japan. So we'll see how he does tonight. Field all in line 2 by 2 as they're working around the half-mile racetrack.
A little bit surprised that Cale Conley chose the inside for this initial start. We'll see how it works out for him.
We'll find out if it works for Cale Conley. Green flag in the air, we're underway. Conley on the inside. Dylan Kwasniewski on the outside in the 20. Still side by side, and then Kwasniewski drops back to the second spot, so Cale Conley gets the good start there on the inside.
He absolutely made it work, that's for sure.
3 wide behind him for 5th right now. And they settle it out as we come down the front stretch once again. First lap led by Cale Conley.
Yeah, Cale Conley's been strong all week here. Really has done a nice job in that David Hyder prepared Toyota.
Dylan Kwasniewski holding on to the second spot. Now side by side, Brandon Godovic on the inside. Outside is the 96 of Ben Kennedy.
Both those drivers have had a solid season. As a matter of fact, in our last race at Bowman Gray, they slid across the start-finish line at the end of the race through the infield.
Almost characteristic in the 07. We're seeing sparks come out of that car already, and we saw that the last time we were at Bowman Gray.
Yeah, we certainly did, but he ended up in victory lane for his first ever win. As the tire pressures build up, that should get better.
So Corey LaJoie now has taken the spot away, and he sits right behind this 2-car battle for position.
Yeah, Brett Moffitt, the 11 car on the inside, Kwasniewski in the 20 on the outside, and that is a car out of the Joe Gibbs Racing stable.
So the battle for second continues. Kwasniewski on the outside, trying to make that outside line work as the battle down the backstretch goes.
It's really difficult from the inside to get the power down here, especially if Dylan was to pinch Brett Moffitt down a little bit. It's really hard to get that rear end hooked up.
These two continue side by side, a little bumping and banging on the racetrack. Moffitt on the bottom of the track, Kwasniewski up high. Here comes Corey LaJoie looking at the bottom of the racetrack.
I thought Corey was going to make it 3 wide there for just a moment. Thought better of it.
And now Kwasniewski's making that outside line work, and Brett Moffitt trying to find a way up to get a little speed around this racetrack.
Yeah, Corey jumped right in that hole on the outside, right behind Dylan Kwasniewski, and Corey has the spot.
Here comes Kyle Larson in the 6. He allows Brett Moffitt to get back in line, though. The 4 of Brian Ortiz tucks in line also.
Yeah, Brian had a great run at Bowman Gray as well, finished in the 3rd spot for his career best.
Kyle Larson running a little bit higher line. We see the 1 of Sergio Pena looking at the inside.
Cale Conley able to open up a little bit of a gap right now over Kwasniewski. Looks like Corey LaJoie has designs on second spot possibly.
So Kwasniewski holding on to it. Corey LaJoie continuing to look just to the inside of that 20. Thinking about making the move to the inside. Can't quite do it as of now. Sergio Pena tucking in behind the 6 of Kyle Larson.
Corey has his nose up there for just a moment. Could not get the power down exiting turn. Tried to pull him behind, but back to the inside again.
Cale Conley with a 4-car length lead over Dylan Kwasniewski, and Corey LaJoie looking to the inside of Kwasniewski once again as Brett Moffitt runs a little higher line.
You can see the groove is a little bit up the racetrack here, not down on the bottom like we see at a lot of racetracks.
So to the outside, Dylan Kwasniewski still able to hold on to that
Caution
second spot.
flag.
Caution has come out. This time it's Chad Boat in the 98. So Chad Boat has issues. You see the sparks coming off the right side of that race car.
Looks like a flat right front tire for Chad.
Unfortunate. Chad starting in the 11th spot. So big hit to the outside wall. And Chad Boat will make the hard left turn into the garage area. So it's Cale Conley out in front here at Gresham Motorsports Park.
I know guys like you sitting right where you're sitting thinking exactly what you're thinking. Like, how the heck do I find a job, start a career, or even change careers? And in this tough economy, you got to think harder and smarter. Look, there's only one place that guys like you, guys like this go when they're serious about a future as an auto technician. That's Universal Technical Institute. UTI gives you real-world hands-on training in classrooms like this, equipped by the industry's top manufacturers. We know how you want to learn, and we teach you in a way that clicks. So the technology you learn here is the same technology you'll use every day when you're working. The best brands in the industry partner with UTI. Well, it's because they want these guys in their shops when they graduate. 4 out of 5 UTI grads get jobs in their field of study. UTI's tech training for people who are serious about being the best in the business. If you're motivated and ready to work, let's talk. Give us a call and we'll talk about UTI programs, campuses, and even financial aid. Your new career starts your first day at UTI. Are you ready? Call now.
For the restart, Cale Conley once again choosing the inside line.
It worked for him last time. Most of the talk in the garage area was about taking the outside for the restarts, but he did choose the inside once again. Let's see how it works.
Green flag back in the air. We saw the outside line work when they were 2 by 2. We'll see if the inside line works on the restart. Cale Conley again with a great restart in front of Dylan Kwasniewski. Here comes the 0-7 of Corey LaJoie, working to the inside of that 11 of Brett Moffitt.
Now Kwasniewski looks to the inside. Not able to do anything that time with Cale Conley. Cale just drove that thing in the corner on that restart and cleared Kwasniewski.
Sergio Pena on the outside, Kyle Larson on the inside. Those two battling for the 5th spot right now as Brett Moffitt's taken 3rd away from Corey LaJoie.
Yeah, Brett Moffitt took advantage of the outside to get around the 0-7 of Corey LaJoie.
Brian Ortiz and the 9 of Chase Elliott battling for a spot a little further back, but it's Cale Conley and Dylan Kwasniewski out in front of this field.
Brett Moffitt peeks his nose down to the inside of Kwasniewski, pulls back in line.
Moffitt holding on to 3rd. Corey LaJoie 4th. Back there in 5th, Sergio Pena. LaJoie trying to get some grip up off the corner, looking to the inside of Brett Moffitt. Can't quite get inside of him. And now Moffitt looks to the inside of Dylan Kwasniewski.
Moffitt not able to do anything. It's really easy to drive up beside somebody on the inside and in the center of the corner, but getting the power down and staying there is very, very challenging.
Cale Conley running a very good race up to this point. Hasn't been challenged for the lead. Now Chase Elliott makes his way by Brian Ortiz.
That was a great side-by-side battle for a few laps. Now Chase may be on the march towards the front.
Trying to get up into the top 10 after starting back in the 12th spot.
Brett Moffitt was able to stay up beside Kwasniewski. Now he moves him up the racetrack a little bit. See if Moffitt can get the power down.
And it looked like a little contact, maybe a little leaning on that 20 of Dylan Kwasniewski was the 11 of Moffitt. He runs up the racetrack again trading some paint. And here to the inside, the 0-7 of Corey LaJoie trying to make the move.
Almost looked like a little contact between maybe LaJoie and Moffitt. Now Corey is there, 3 wide.
3 wide as they come out of the turn. LaJoie on the inside, Moffitt right in the middle, and now the 20 of Dylan Kwasniewski, the only car on the outside of Moffitt.
Kwasniewski doing a great job on the outside, holding off the challenge from Moffitt.
So Dylan Kwasniewski holding on to that 2nd spot. Now Sergio Pena looking to the inside of the 0-7, and here comes Kyle Larson to his outside.
Kyle Larson up in the preferred line on the outside.
Pena trying to make that low groove work here at Gresham.
Look at the exit of the corner. Look at the momentum that Kyle Larson has up off the corner from the high side.
Single file line again, 2nd through 7th. Right on your screen, still blanket over the top 7 here. Dylan Kwasniewski holding on to 2nd.
Cale Conley is loving these guys racing so hard there for 2nd. He's opened up about 10, 12 car lengths now.
Corey LaJoie holding on to the 4th spot. Kwasniewski, Moffitt, LaJoie, and Larson, your top 5.
So much talent here in the East Series as well as the West Series, but it's great to see somebody like Kwasniewski come east here and race against these guys.
Cale Conley, his best finish ever, 3rd at Iowa earlier this year. Love to improve upon that, get to victory lane for his first career win.
And remember, that was his first career top 10 finish at Iowa. And now here he is leading this race going away.
And looking very impressive in that first spot. Dylan Kwasniewski looks as though he might be holding up Brett Moffitt, but Moffitt not able to make the pass. And LaJoie looking to the inside of Moffitt now for that 3rd spot.
Yeah, all these drivers behind Kwasniewski see the leader driving away. Oh, caution again on the racetrack.
Caution one more time. This time it's Enrique Contreras in the 0 that brings the caution out. So Enrique also with a little bit of damage to that race car.
It's his 2nd start of the year. He finished 16th at Richmond a couple of months ago.
Tries to get it turned around. Looks like he might have had a little bit of help there. So while Enrique Contreras turns that around, we'll take a quick break and be right back with more action from Gresham Motorsports Park. Enrique Contreras gets the car pointed in the right direction. We're 2 by 2 once again for this restart.
What looks different now, though?
Well, for some reason, Cale Conley's decided that the outside might be a better place to start.
The inside has worked well for the first 2 starts for him.
We'll find out if the outside will now work. Dylan Kwasniewski on the inside, Cale Conley on the outside, Moffitt and LaJoie making up row number 2 as they creep out of turn number 4. Green flag back in the air.
Another great restart, though, by Cale Conley. He's going to make the outside work as well.
And while he is making the outside work for the lead, for 2nd, the battle is on now. On the outside, Corey LaJoie, Dylan Kwasniewski on the inside. So LaJoie with a great opportunity to take 2nd away from Kwasniewski.
I think maybe Cale Conley, because of starting on the outside, that probably cost Dylan Kwasniewski the runner-up spot right here.
Corey LaJoie able to take second away. They stay side by side back behind him for the 8th position. Ben Kennedy on the inside of the 4 of Brian Ortiz.
Yeah, Ben Kennedy's had a great season, had a tough break at Iowa, had a poor finish there. Otherwise, all top 10 finishes for Ben Kennedy.
They remain side by side. Ben Kennedy on the inside as you see the top 7 working their way around this racetrack.
Right in front of them, the 18 of Darrell Wallace Jr.
Also another young man who's had some success this year, but also his problems. 1 win already, a 2nd place finish at Bowman Gray the last time we were out, but he's also had the 28th place finish and the 36th place finish this year, which has hurt him in the points.
Yeah, season much like Johnny Saunders in the Camping World Truck Series. Johnny's had a couple good runs, including that big win last time out at Texas, but everything else has been poor finishes just about.
Now we see Kyle Larson working to the inside, and that big number 6 trying to get by the 11 of Brett Moffitt. Moffitt has already lost a spot to Sergio Pena in the 1.
Looks like we're seeing double there with the 1 and the 11. Cars painted just alike.
Sergio Pena just in front of this battle for position. Again, we've seen the high line work. Phil, you talked about it in your storylines. That outside line seems to be the preferred line.
It's almost like the track is banked a little bit more up there. I don't think it is, but just the way the angle of these corners and the exit, it's really, as we talk about, so challenging to get the power down exiting the corner, where if you're on the outside, you actually drive straighter off the corner.
Almost at a dirt track, they talk about the cushion, where you lay the right side up against the cushion. It seems like this track is getting a little bit of that same feel.
Yeah, it really does. I don't see any berm up there of dirt, but
thank goodness we don't see that. Kyle Larson has the nose just in front of Sergio Pena, but can't complete the pass, as Pena now working hard once again on the outside, but Kyle Larson looks like he's trying to close the door on that one.
You see Brett Moffitt, he restarted this race in 3rd because of being on the inside. Now he's all the way back to 5th.
Kyle Larson clears the 1, so he gets just in front of Sergio Pena as well as Brett Moffitt.
Really strong to be able to make that pass on the inside like Kyle Larson did.
A little bit of smoke looked like was coming out of the back of the 9 of Chase Elliott. He looks to be running mid-pack today, and normally you would expect Chase Elliott to be running up front at this racetrack.
Yeah, we really expected him to run up front here. He's got a lot of experience. You mentioned he's got 4 wins at this very racetrack and other forms of racing, but there's that smoke again. Looks like Ryan Gifford trying to get to the inside of him.
Kale Conley again out front. Corey LaJoie, Dylan Kwasniewski, Kyle Larson, Sergio Pena, your top 5 just behind him. Brett Moffitt in the 11 running in the 6th spot.
Then Darrell Wallace Jr. will run 7th in the 18.
Field begins to spread out now since our most recent caution. 2 cautions only to start this race off, and now a battle with teammates once again. Moffitt looking to the inside of Sergio Pena.
Yeah, Moffitt saw Kyle Larson make that pass on the inside. Now he's going to see if he can do something with his teammate Sergio Pena.
Pena working the higher line. Moffitt down to the bottom of the racetrack, trying to find some grip down there as he comes off the turn.
Sergio Pena is another driver that really hasn't had the start to the season that we expected. 3 wins last year in the K&N Series. Really just a 7th and a 9th, his best finish so far this year.
Sergio Pena came into his own last year. We thought his first year out he was going to be really the sensation in this series because of his battle that he had with Joey Logano at the Toyota Showdown at the beginning of the year. But then it never really panned out until last year when he had the big 3 wins.
Yeah, he certainly did. Had a terrific season last year, but really had a lot of bad luck starting out so far this year. And that has him mired outside the top 10 right now in points.
Brian Ortiz to the inside. Darrell Wallace Jr. on the
Caution
outside.
on the racetrack.
Looks as though we're slowing one more time. This time it's Chad Fincham in the 37 that brings the caution out for the 3rd time tonight. So Chad Fincham brings the caution out, and he will bring that car to the aid of his crew.
Right front tire. A little bit of, looks like maybe got into the outside wall when that tire cut down.
Crew stopping him. They'll try to get the jack underneath it. It'll be very difficult when you got that right front tire gone. Take a look.
At the top of your screen, looks like the right front tire went down right in the center of the corner. He did a pretty good job of getting that car woed before he got in. Made hard contact with the outside wall.
Not a lot of damage. How about that? That is tailgating Gresham Motorsports Park style. Green flag just going back in the air. Cale Conley still in front of Corey LaJoie. Kyle Larson, Brett Moffitt, and Dylan Kwasniewski, your top 5 as we continue green flag racing here at Gresham Motorsports Park.
Yeah, Corey LaJoie's been able to hang right with Cale Conley since the drop of the green flag.
Cale Conley has been so strong all weekend. Now we see the one of Sergio Pena looking to the inside of Dylan Kwasniewski.
Brett Moffitt, the 11, has been able to get by Dylan to take over the 4th spot.
On that restart, it was a good restart for Moffitt as he was able to get by both the 1 and the 20, so takes a position back into the 4th spot. See Ben Kennedy just behind Sergio Pena. Brian Ortiz back there in the 4.
Both those cars have had a great run, been in the top 10 this entire race.
Battle continuing for that 5th spot. Kwasniewski has it. Sergio Pena trying to get it, but again, the outside line has been the preferred line, and unless you open the door to the outside, it's a little difficult to get around here.
Yeah, Dylan Kwasniewski has been up there, has not made any mistakes at all.
The restart has been his nemesis tonight.
It seems as though the outside has been the place to be, other than the fact that Cale Conley has done a great job a couple times from the inside, but then he moved to the outside for the subsequent restarts.
Yeah, after the first 2 starts of this race, the start and the first restart, then it was the outside line, which Cale Conley decided would be the preferred line to start. And so Dylan Kwasniewski has really been a victim of where he is in line as far as falling back positions, as he had started up front. He was on the outside of row 1 when they started the race, and now he's dropped all the way back into that 5th spot.
Yeah, still doing a great job, though. Made the way from Las Vegas, his home, back east here. There's a good battle. There's Eddie McDonald, the 71, on the inside of Brandon Godovic. There's Andrew Smith, the 62. Jimmy Weller in the 31. Eddie McDonald started all the way back in the, I guess, 27th spot. Was really struggling with that car, but looks like maybe the racetrack's coming to him right now.
Yeah, you know, another driver, Andrew Smith in that 62, he started back in the 23rd position. So McDonald and Smith have been able to move up through the pack here, now battling for a top 15 spot.
Yeah, good to see Eddie McDonald making his 150th career start here in the K&N Series.
Pretty impressive for the 32-year-old out of Massachusetts.
6-time winner in the series as well.
He falls in behind that 46 of Brandon Godovic. Brandon just behind the 62 of Andrew Smith.
Great 2012 season for Brandon Godovic. He's already had 3 top 10 finishes here. Currently 5th in points coming in.
He and his father, Rick Godovic, were running the series a year ago, both trying to make every race. Now Rick Godovic has decided to only run a select number of races, but Brandon Godovic running for the championship.
Also running a second car for Sam Hunt out of that stable. Sam's had a couple top 15 finishes this year.
How about the move by Andrew Smith? Looking to the inside of Jimmy Weller now for position.
Pretty new car for Andrew Smith. This is only the 2nd race on this brand new car.
So Andrew Smith not one to scratch that new car up, so giving Jimmy Weller a little bit of room. Again, running on the inside, sliding up the racetrack just a bit. For more on Andrew Smith, let's go to Derek Perniciglio.
Guys, keep an eye on that white 62 of Andrew Smith. He's been coming through the field like gangbusters. In this race last year, he started 23rd and finished in the 3rd spot. He started 23rd again tonight, and he's already made his way up through the field and is knocking on the door of the top 10 right now.
Pretty impressive run. He and Eddie McDonald have been working together. Now he's in front of McDonald, that 1 spot, but it looks as though they're trying to make it 3 wide, and right in front of him. Big hit. Brian Ortiz in the 4. A lot of damage to that race car.
Wow, what a hard hit.
Ryan Gifford also involved in this in the 2 car, but the most impact by the 4 of Brian Ortiz, and a great sign. You see the window net go down for Ortiz.
See all the fluids leaking out of the engine. I'm sure it busted the radiator as well as the oil cooler in that Toyota.
A lot of debris on the racetrack. I'm sure this is a situation where NASCAR is going to red flag this so that they don't have cars going through this while they're trying to take care of the 4 of Brian Ortiz.
Remember, these guys were running up in the top 10. This happened right in front of that group. You see Ryan Gifford already out of his car sitting on pit wall. Happened right in front of that group we were watching.
So it looks as though he is going to catch his breath, but again, Brian Ortiz and Ryan Gifford both out of their race car. Let's hear from with Derek.
Well, Brian Ortiz in the number 4 car was involved in that last caution. A hard shot, but Brian, can you tell us from your point of view what happened?
Well, first of all, I want to thank my team, Rev Racing, Toyota, for giving me the opportunity We had a great car. We were just coming to the front and just coming out of turn 2. The left front blew and we were straight to the wall. It's a shame. We had a great car. My teammate Ryan Gifford got involved in it. He didn't have any place to go, and it just frustrated. Like, we have an amazing car. The team did a great job this week, and it is what it is.
Well, it's a tough break for Brian Ortiz, especially coming home after a podium finish the last race out at Bowman Gray.
And we want to hear from the other driver involved in this, Ryan Gifford, also out of his race car. They've pulled it back into the garage, and let's hear from him with Derek.
Well, Ryan Gifford was one of those other drivers that was involved in that altercation out there, but from your point of view, can you tell us what happened?
Yeah, it just looked like Brian blew a tire. I hate it for his guys and ours, us being teammates. Everybody at the shop works really hard. They work their tails off, and we just came up a little short tonight, a little misfortune, but you know, we had a really good car there in the race. Didn't qualify the best, but our Camry was good. So I got to thank NASCAR Technical Institute for staying on board, and our engine program is awesome. So we'll keep digging, and we'll go to Langley next, and hopefully get our win there.
It's been a rough year for you so far. What do you have to do to turn your luck around?
That's a $100 question, I think. We definitely do got to turn our luck around somehow, but you know, we'll keep working hard and keep digging, and I think that's all we can do, and just hope for the best.
Ryan Gifford out early. He'll be back for the next race.
Yeah, Derek, third place finish, the best for Ryan Gifford in 2012. He's finished second twice in his career, but his night ends short here at Gresham Motorsports Park. The racetrack back up, about ready to go back to green. It goes in the air. We're back underway. Cale Conley on the outside. Brett Moffitt in the 11 on the inside. And now side-by-side battles for teammates.
Let's see if Sergio Pena can take advantage of restarting on the outside.
Sergio Pena still trying to hold on to that second spot. Moffitt runs up the racetrack, moves the one just a little bit higher, and Moffitt has second. Takes it away from his teammate, Sergio Pena. Here comes Corey LaJoie in the 07 on the inside.
That's what you have to do if you're Brett Moffitt. You have to use some of that racetrack. You want to be in the middle. It's okay for him to have room above you, but you want to be able to get in the middle so you can make that run off the corner. That's exactly what Brett Moffitt did.
Now Corey LaJoie still to the inside, trying to get by that one of Sergio Pena. They're 2x2 back behind them as well.
See Brandon Godovic, that red 46 on the outside of Eddie McDonald. Darrell Wallace Jr. just behind in the 18.
Trying to make that outside line work. Jimmy Weller in the 31 on the outside of that 62 of Andrew Smith.
That's exactly where we were right before that most recent caution flag with those guys racing side by side.
Corey LaJoie slides up the racetrack. Little contact between him and the one of Sergio Pena.
Let's see if Corey can move him up the racetrack a little bit so he can get a good run off the corner. He does have him cleared.
So Corey LaJoie makes the pass on Sergio Pena, takes third away. Pena back to fourth.
Kyle Larson right there behind Sergio Pena in the 5th spot.
This battle continues. Jimmy Weller on the outside, Andrew Smith, and it's Eddie McDonald and Brandon Godovic.
These guys have been battling like this forever, side by side, 2-3 rows deep.
Looks as though Darrell Wallace Jr. stuck back behind them in the 18. Well, they continue to battle side by side.
Andrew Smith finally was able to clear Jimmy Weller to take over that spot.
Carlos Iaconelli just behind that 18. We haven't talked a lot about him. He hasn't been able to move to the front.
A lot of good competition in this series here. These are really, really good cars racing back here around the 10th, 12th spot. Kyle Larson now sticks his nose underneath Sergio Pena in a battle for 4th.
We'll see if he can take it away. Sergio Pena back to the high side, makes the momentum work for him down the straightaway, but here comes that 6 of Larson on the inside.
We've seen Kyle Larson make some passes on the inside. He's one of the few cars that we've seen that has been able to do that.
We're seeing sparks flying out of the one of Sergio Pena on the turns, but I just saw moments ago the 07 of Corey LaJoie sparks when he was going down the straightaway. So a little bit of an odd situation there. Let's go back to Derek.
And it's a great battle for 4th between Kyle Larson and Sergio Pena. Kyle Larson has had luck on his side this year. He's only got one finish outside the top 10. Sergio Pena is a driver who's looking for some luck. He's had some pretty rough runs this year. The last time out at Bowman Gray Stadium, he finished 19th with a blown engine. He's hoping tonight turns his luck around.
What a great run through the center of the corner the last corner for Kyle Larson. That was enough to give him that momentum to get out in front of Pena and move up in front of him.
Takes the 4th spot away. Pena drops back into the 5th position. There's Ben Kennedy in the 96 still giving chase, and still we see a little smoke coming out of the 9 of Chase Elliott.
Yeah, we've seen that just about the entire night. Oh, trouble.
Around goes Andrew Smith in the 62.
Was there some contact maybe from the 46 of Godovic? They were awfully close there.
Those two have been battling hard, as well as Jimmy Weller has been involved.
Here's the 22 of Sam Hunt. That's not Brandon Godovic, Andrew, in case you're looking for him.
Take another look at what happened. Yes, indeed, it was. The 46 of Godovic gets into the back of the 62.
What a nice job by Darrell Wallace Jr. to avoid that. Actually almost came to a complete stop on the racetrack. Did not make any contact.
And so we come to our 6th caution of this race. While we're taking a quick break, let's do a little racing rewind.
This week's Racing Rewind is the 1990 Big Apple Stores 100 for the NASCAR Busch North Series from the Oxford Plains Speedway in Oxford, Maine. The 25 of Ricky Craven and 15 of Mike Rowe made up the front row after the redraw, and it was Craven that took the lead on the backstretch. Other notables in this race were the 0 of Dick McCabe, the 35 of Mike Whedon, and the 71 of Bobby Dragon. The race up front became heated as Ricky Craven got into Mike Rowe in turn 3, with Rowe returning the favor a lap later. The only lead change came on lap 51 as Mike Rowe got the advantage on the restart. Jamie Obey in the 41 would pass Craven for second, but Whedon in the 35 found a fast lane in the high groove. Obey made a bid for the lead, but Rowe got through the lap traffic. Mike Whedon started mounting a charge in the closing laps, passing Obey on the outside for second and reeling in leader Mike Rowe. Mike Whedon would run out of time as Mike Rowe led the final 82 laps to win. Jamie Obey, Bobby Dragon, and Ricky Craven rounded out the top 5.
This Busch racing is real competitive. You know, it's not only going to be one guy or 2 guys that win the race all year. There's probably 15 different cars here that can win a race, and it's real good competitive racing.
Yeah, what terrific racing we had back there at Oxford Plains. Mike Rowe was a great competitor, but obviously a lot of us know Ricky Craven and the success he's had here in NASCAR.
And because of time constraints, we've moved ahead in our coverage. Now the battle for third continues. Dylan Kwasniewski just in front of the 11 of Brett Moffitt. To the inside, Corey LaJoie trying to take that position away, and Sergio Pena right there as well. Kyle Larson just in front of this group.
Yeah, great short track racing, just like we saw in our Racing Rewind just a few moments ago. Oh, a little contact.
Little bumping and banging here. Brett Moffitt into the back of Dylan Kwasniewski, loosens him up. Here comes the 07 of Corey LaJoie now.
Got a battle for the lead on our hands, too. Now Kyle Larson all over the back of Cale Conley.
So Cale Conley still out in front, but now a title contender in Kyle Larson making the move as they try to go 3 wide for that battle for third.
Nice move by Corey LaJoie. He's leaning on Dylan Kwasniewski a little bit. Dylan giving it right back to him.
Corey LaJoie tries to take it up the racetrack, get in front of that 20 of Dylan Kwasniewski, makes the pass. A little bump there from the 11 of Brett Moffitt, though, on the 20.
Kyle Larson had his nose up beside Cale Conley for just a moment.
Battle for the lead. Kyle Larson looking to the inside of Cale Conley as they come out of 4.
Cale's using that momentum from the high side to stay in front of Kyle Larson. We've seen Kyle make a lot of passes on the inside. He's going after the lead now.
Kyle Larson making the inside line work. Door to door now as they work through the turn. Kyle Larson goes sideways. The 47 of Cale Conley holds on to the lead.
That just stalled his momentum just enough to allow Cale Conley to squirt out in front.
That battle for the 4th spot continues. Brett Moffitt on the inside. Caution comes out. Jimmy Weller in the 31 gets turned around. Brings up our 7th caution of the night. You see Jimmy there up against the wall.
You can say Jimmy's made some contact with that inside wall.
Waiting for the traffic to go by before he tries to back it up or straighten it back out. Tough night for Jimmy Weller. He had a great battle early on, battling for position.
Right around the top 10 with Andrew Smith and Brandon Godovic, Eddie McDonald, all that bunch. Watch top of your screen. See him go high. Might have been a little contact there. Got him up high, and then he came down the racetrack, made contact with the inside wall.
Great moves there by some of the drivers to avoid that sideways Jimmy Weller. The Slack Auto Parts 150 continues here on Speed after the break. Field lined up side by side once again. Cale Conley chooses the outside line for this restart. Kyle Larson will be on the inside. Dylan Kwasniewski and the 07 of Corey LaJoie making up row number 2. Out of turn 4, green flag back in the air.
Great opportunity here for Kyle Larson. Has been so good on the inside, but Cale Conley's been great on the outside. They're perfectly matched.
We have seen the 6 of Kyle Larson work that inside groove well. Let's see if he can do it again. He stays to the inside of the 47. But here comes the 20 of Dylan Kwasniewski. He goes to the outside of the 6, trying to take that second spot away.
He got a spot away from Corey LaJoie. Dylan restarted in the 4th spot. He used that outside line to get by Corey.
Now Cale Conley has the lead once again out in front of the 6 of Kyle Larson. Dylan Kwasniewski runs in the 3rd spot.
See, Eddie McDonald, Brandon Godovic side by side now have made their way up into the top 10.
Corey LaJoie still trying to work that inside line. He tucks in behind the 20 now.
Right behind Corey LaJoie, teammates Sergio Pena and Brett Moffitt.
Running in the 5th and 6th positions. Right behind them for the 7th spot, Eddie McDonald on the inside, Brandon Godovic on the outside.
Yeah, the 96, Ben Kennedy, the 18 of Darrell Wallace Jr. round out our top 10.
Teammates battling for position once again. To the outside goes Brett Moffitt. To the inside, the 1 of Sergio Pena.
I think Brett Moffitt has probably lost more positions on the restart here, probably just by being in the wrong place than any other car on this racetrack.
We're seeing the 07 of Corey LaJoie challenge that 20 for the 3rd spot.
Running out of time here, Rick. Only 16 laps to go.
Laps clicking away quickly as they battle for the 3rd position. Moffitt going to the outside of that 07. The 07 trying to get by the 20.
Moffitt's going to follow the 20 on the outside. He pulls up dead even with Corey LaJoie.
Dylan Kwasniewski, we would say, has the preferred outside line, able to keep the momentum up, but we're seeing Corey LaJoie run a great race down at the bottom of the racetrack.
And time is running out here. Now you're going to lean on people a little bit more now than you did 40, 50 laps ago.
Cale Conley out in front comfortably, has about a 2-car length lead over Kyle Larson. Then the battle continues for the 3rd spot. Dylan Kwasniewski has it. Corey LaJoie, Brett Moffitt side by side for 4th.
Sergio Pena right behind, trying to figure out which line is going to go.
Corey LaJoie continues to work to the inside of Brett Moffitt. Kwasniewski has the 3rd spot.
Little contact. Oh, more contact.
Around goes Dylan Kwasniewski. Help from the 11 of Brett Moffitt. Big contact behind him. Brandon Godovic into the 20.
Brandon Godovic committed to the outside. Absolutely had nowhere to go.
9th caution comes out, and it was contact from the 11 of Brett Moffitt that got Dylan Kwasniewski turned around, and then the 46 got into him. Take another look.
There's a little bit of contact right there. That gets Dylan sideways, and then Moffitt jumps in the gas. Dylan was trying to correct his car, and around he goes. Tough break for Dylan Kwasniewski's run up in the top 5 the entire race. Brandon Godovic made his way well into the top 10. He's a victim of circumstances.
And another one who gets caught up in this, the 18 of Darrell Wallace Jr. looks as though he's going to be able to avoid it, but a car gets into the back of him once he tries to avoid and slow down and get out of the way. Let's hear from Derek.
Well, Brandon Godovic's car's got a lot of front-end damage. He tried to avoid the number 20 car spinning, but Brandon, from your point of view, can you tell us what happened? Did you have anywhere to go?
Nah, not really. The 20 car just started spinning there, and it was just one of those decisions that once you make it, you have to stick with it. And he just kind of turned sideways, and I was hoping he would stay straight like this, but then he turned back and just nowhere to go and couldn't get it slowed down. But thanks to the guys for their hard work. They definitely gave me a good car, and we'll be back at Langley at our home track, so hopefully we'll have a good run there.
It is going to be a sprint to the finish. The red flag has come out right now to clean the racetrack up. But when we come back inside of 10 laps of racing to go from Gresham Motorsports Park, can Cale Conley hold on? Stay with us. Chooses the outside. Kyle Larson on the inside. It'll be 5 laps of racing to go as they come out of turn number 4.
Who gets the jump on this restart may decide who goes to victory lane.
The outside line has worked for Cale Conley. Kyle Larson on the inside, coming out of turn number 4. Green flag back in the air.
Well, Cale Conley spun his tires.
Giving Kyle Larson an opportunity on the inside. He's got a little bit of an advantage. Up the racetrack goes the 47, and Kyle Larson takes the lead away coming out of 2.
Ben Kennedy bounces off the outside wall. Right now, Kyle Larson has a lead, a couple car lengths.
3 wide for the 8th position back behind him, but it's Kyle Larson out in front. 4 laps of racing to go.
Look at cars bouncing off each other. We told you that business picks up here. You get down towards the end with less than 10 to go.
Down the back stretch, they race once again. Sergio Pena on the inside and Kennedy on the outside. Those two racing for position. Kennedy takes it. 3 to go. Kyle Larson in front of Cale Conley. Conley has run such a dominant race today, and Kyle Larson gets him on the restart.
I think right now Cale Conley may need another restart to give him another crack at it.
Well, there's a good chance we will get another caution as hard as these guys are racing with 3 laps of racing to go.
Right now, Kyle Larson with 2 to go has about 2-3 car lengths over Cale Conley, looking for win number 1.
Under 1 mile of racing remains, and he's got 2 car lengths between himself and second place Cale Conley. Conley doing everything he can to try to catch up, but it's Kyle Larson who sees the white flag. 1 to go.
The next flag's going to end it, whether it be a caution or the checker.
We'll see if Kyle Larson can hang on. Does Cale Conley have anything for Larson? Down the back stretch they go. They stay clean. Kyle Larson works his way out of 4. Kyle Larson's going to win at Gresham Motorsports Park.
What an outstanding job. Very, very patient the entire race. He's the guy that made it work on the inside better than anybody tonight.
Kyle Larson coming into this race. His best ever finish was 4th earlier this year at Richmond, and now he gets his first win. And how about that? A little dirt tracking around this half-mile oval.
He knows how to do that. He's very good on dirt.
Has figured it out and will make his way to victory lane for the first time. We'll hear from Kyle Larson when we come back. And welcome back to the Slack Auto Parts 150. The crowd coming out onto the racetrack now so that they can congratulate the young man who got his first career win in the K&N Pro Series East, and that's Kyle Larson. Let's hear from him.
Well, with less than 10 laps to go, Kyle Larson gets past the 47 of Kyle Conley. He picks up his first ever NASCAR K&N Pro Series East victory in his rookie season. And Kyle, come on over here. The crew said that the car was better on longer runs, but how did you make it work with just less than 10 laps to go?
Yeah, I was really mad that we kept getting those yellows. I wanted those long green flag runs because I'd keep running them down after about 10 laps and kept getting yellows, and their one restart I spun my tires really bad and fell back to 4th, and luckily a red came out. We got our spot back and just had a good restart there. That last one I took his line getting into 1. There was a lot of oil down on the bottom of 1, so I didn't want to get down there at all, and luckily kept it up out of the oil and kept my tires underneath me and came out with the win. So I just got to thank all my guys, Randy Goss, Mark, Dylan, Spicoli, all these guys at Rev Racing, Toyota, everybody that helps out on this car. Without them, we couldn't be doing it.
Well, it's an emotional win here in Victory Lane. Kyle Larson picks up his first ever career Pro Series win.
Thanks, Derek. A big smile on that 19-year-old's face. Out of California, running the full East Series, trying for a championship in the East Series, and he's getting a little bit closer too. Take a look at the unofficial race results. Not a good day for points leader Chase Elliott coming into this one.
No, certainly wasn't. That's going to close up our point standings, but what a great job by Cale Conley. Dominated this race, got beat on the last restart.
Carlos Iaconelli gets an 11th place finish in this one.
There's Chase Elliott back in the 14th spot.
Dylan Kwasniewski running for the top 2 for a lot of the race, and he's relegated back just inside the top 20. Let's hear from second place finisher with Derek.
Well, Cale Conley dominated that race up until the last restart. What happened? If you had to do it over again, would you do it any differently?
Oh yeah, completely different. I just spun the tires. My fault. It's a mistake that I'm going to try not to make again. I'm going to think about this one all night. It's hard to lead the whole race and give it away at the end, but second place in a NASCAR race is still good. I don't feel like I'm in a position to be whining and crying about second. I mean, this is what we live for, and second that's really respectable. It's harder when you lead the whole thing and get second. So that first place was so close, and the next race, man, we'll be gunning for it.
And I would say he's got a good shot at it because we saw some pretty impressive things out of Cale Conley today.
Yeah, we certainly did, and I think he will get to victory lane this year, and a great attitude after this one.
Top 3 in points separated by 6 points. Let's hear from 30s with Derek.
Well, the number 11 of Brett Moffitt's car looks a little battered and bruised, a little worse for the wear, but still a podium finish isn't bad tonight.
Yeah, you know, after the last couple of races, we're really happy to, you know, finish one without getting wrecked there at the end. But, you know, it's not how I wanted to. I got into the 20 car and spun him around, which isn't how I want to race. Wouldn't be how I wanted to be raced. So, you know, that was totally my fault, and I take credit for that. But, you know, it's still a third-place finish for us. Good points today. You know, congrats to Kyle Larson, his first win. That's big. So, you know, let's go on to Langley and hopefully do a little better.
Brett Moffitt continues his streak of most top fives this season.
Another first-time winner in the K&N Pro Series East from right here at Gresham Motorsports Park. Next week, it's going to be Langley Speedway for the Hampton, Virginia 175.
Can we make it 7 different winners in 7 races, maybe?
Quite possible. The talent is aplenty in the NASCAR K&N Pro Series East. There were some wild wrecks in this one, but everybody walked away. In the end, it was all smiles, especially for the driver of the number 6. Kyle Larson grabs his first ever win in the NASCAR K&N Pro Series East. Thanks for joining us here on Speed. We'll see you next week.
This copyrighted telecast may not be reproduced, retransmitted, or used in any form